Here we are. We are live. It's Wilson. Paulo's running late. He should be here sometime. And Chris should be showing up too, he said.
Yeah, I
So we'll
saw the
see.
notification. So that'll be cool to have him here.
Yeah, hasn't been here in a couple weeks. But I was just telling Wilson that, let's see, the last printer I had, I bought in 2016. Paolo's not barely late. There he is.
Hey.
Good evening, Paulo.
Hey,
Not
welcome.
even late. He's 30 seconds
Hmm.
in. I was just telling him about my printer adventures this week. Like from 2016 till the beginning of this February, I ran the same printer, my Canon IP 8720 photo printer, tabloid size. So it prints 13 by 19, which means it can, that's what I print like when I blow up all my blue line drawings and print them out. These are some 6x9 ones, but I also print out the blue line drawings on 11x17. So that's what I need it for, to print out that stuff too. And I finally, let's see, where is it? It was Tuesday that I was finally getting around to printing a proof of my Gatsby book. I was printing out all the text with my illustrations. And so what I was doing is these are 11x17 paper, because I set the book up to be like 9x12, the illustrations. So I set it up in it's all set up in an InDesign document. And what you can do when you want to print out something is you save it as a PDF, and then Acrobat can print it as a booklet. It figures out which side to print stuff on. So I was doing it like 8 pages at a time, just so I can make little like signatures that I could put all together. And I had my long reach stapler out from my Mini Comics days that can staple all the way into the center of this. But then about this many prints in, my brand new printer that I bought at the beginning of February would no longer, the paper wouldn't feed. And it's just a gravity feed printer. You put the paper on the top and the little rollers get it and pull it through. Well, the little rollers would just go chomp, 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 and not actually grab the paper. After about 2 or 3 hours of trying to fix it, I went, I'm returning this thing. It's broken. And I got it from Amazon, so I had to fill out a return. But it was pretty easy to do, except very weirdly, they wouldn't let me exchange it. I had to return that one. They gave me credit for it, and then I had to buy another one, despite the fact that it says right on the page, this is eligible for return or exchange. I'm like, okay. So I sent the other one back, which was easy enough because I kept the box, and the box was just sitting out over back there just in case. Sure enough, put it back in the box, and all I had to do was Amazon sent me a QR code for my phone, and I just had I just brought it to they just opened up a UPS store a mile or two from my house. So I just had to drive it over there and show them that code. They scanned it and were like, all right, you're taken care of. So that was good. But then I had to order the other one, which just came, and I haven't had a chance to set it up. But it was I was so happy to after 2+ years to finally be printing out a proof of all this Gatsby stuff I've been doing. Then the printer just gave out. I was like, and I also decided this is actually a high quality proof on 11x17 matte photo paper. Not that the paper is particularly expensive. I think it's like $25 for 100 sheets. But then after doing this, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to print out a low quality proof first on 8.5x11 plain paper, just to do it faster, to see what it looks like and see what needs to be changed. But happy to get the printer, but I won't get to set it up until tomorrow. Let's see. Hello, Wilson and Wilson Groupies, says Sleepy Reader. Tit Goblin says, hello, all. New tech link to show. Hopefully I'm not caught in the Matrix web zone. I imagine far fewer people use printers these days. Yeah. And far fewer people use printers, and it's like the printer. I bought the exact same model I bought in 2016. I mean, it's not a new model. Nothing's different about it's the Pixma IP 8720. It's like they used to have like new printer models every 2 or 3 years. Now it's like
Yeah, they figured they make
which ties
more of
into
their money
something
by
else was
selling
feeling
inks.
on. What was that?
I think it's because they make more of their money on selling the
Oh,
ink
yeah,
than
you're
they
right.
do the actual printer. To the fact that there have been class action suits about the whole you can't use a third party ink.
Right. That
If the computer sees that, all of a sudden it doesn't want to work anymore.
it needs a chip in it. That
Yeah,
the exact reason I got this printer, the printer I had before it, the Epson, I ran Epsons for years, and there wasn't a lot of third-party ink for the Epson. Matter of fact, there was none for the one I ran, I don't think. And it would cost me $100 to fill up the Epson. That was crazy. With this
yeah,
one, before I got it, I made sure there was third-party inks that I could get. And the difference is astronomical. Even if I were to buy Canon inks, there's I think 6 cartridges. It would cost me about $70 in ink to fill up that printer. With the knockoff inks, it costs about $3.50 for all to fill it up, for like not for one ink cartridge, for all 6. I've heard printer ink referred to as the most expensive liquid on the planet.
yeah. I can
I
believe
was
it.
like, yeah, it is. Good evening, Comic Crack. Good evening, comic book lovers, both young and old, says he. Friar Tuck. Can't get our printer to link up with our computer half the time. Mine is wired. It's got USB cable. I don't even try to hook up to it wirelessly. No, thank you. I can use a USB cable.
Yeah, the wirelessly bit me in the ass because
Yeah,
my wireless one works, but it only works if I go onto my old network. It'll
right.
only recognize the old network. I can't get it to work on the new network at all. So whenever I
I
need to print, I got to switch over to the old network and keep that active. It costs me nothing to keep the old network active.
right.
So I keep it active only for the purposes of using my printer. And I don't use
Yeah,
my printer
I don't
all
want a
that much.
wireless printer. No, thank you.
I only use it for when I print out my eBay labels. I don't really use
Yeah,
it for my art anymore.
right. Right. But yeah, got the print. I also got a bunch of art supplies from Jerry's Artorama. I made a video of it, but I'm not going to post it till tomorrow because don't want to overload people on videos on my channel today. But I bought a bunch of new markers just to add some of the Artfinity markers to add to my marker collection, plus their refills. Like I said, the markers themselves are only $2.50, and the refills I think are $4.50. So much cheaper than Copics, and same sort of thing. They're alcohol. No, it's strange too. I think I mentioned this last time I bought them. There's an extra charge for shipping these. You have to pay an extra $2.50 for shipping dangerous materials, which I guess is the alcohol in the refills. They're, little 25 milliliter containers of alcohol. And that only happened last year. And I showed on the video on the box that my art supplies come in, on the cardboard box, it says must be opened within 48 hours. Why? I guess because there's
Yeah,
alcohol in there is the only thing I can figure out. Why would you put must be opened within 48 hours on a box of art supplies? It's the
I
strangest
am not
thing.
sure. That is strange. Yes, it is a fire hazard. Um, Maybe to check if anything broke.
Maybe something happened with alcohol markers at some point that they had to put in these special regulations or whatever they are. I've never heard of it, but
Yeah.
yeah, the box
I,
says
w- I
must
would
be
I
open.
would imagine so because I know growing up and working with paint and stuff like that, and working with turpentine and what have you, and the whole thing with rags
Oh yeah,
being
well
left in the
turpentine's always
corner.
been
Right.
right.
So I'm wondering if alcohol could something like that could have happened
Yeah,
at some point where something
something
heated up.
somewhere happened with those alcohol markers that made them
Right.
charge
Or
extra.
something happened and they blamed the markers
Yeah,
and probably not the true thing that happened. Who knows?
because it's like an extra $2.50 or something like that to ship the box. It's like, okay. It was free shipping. Explosive alcohol? Asked Sleepy Reader. I don't know. Maybe. Could be. Explosive alcohol. But I should be able to print now. I'm happy about that. I'll get my my 8.5. I just bought some new printer paper at the supermarket today. That's where I get my plain paper from, the supermarket. Well, all my special, photo paper, no, but plain paper, the supermarket. It's like $6 for 500 sheets. I also got, what other art supplies? I bought, sometimes when I'm buying a big thing of art supplies, I just see what else I can find to throw in, because I like to try new stuff. I bought a midnight black drawing book. I've got all these metallic markers I can use on them. I bought a set of some type of metallic, like 6 or 8 metallic markers last year. And I bought this expensive silver marker last order. It's Artfinity Chrome ink. So it's like, may as well get some. And I even bought with this, I bought like 5x7 black paper, which I never used. So now I've got 9x12 black paper. Let's see if I use it. And I also bought this other just random sketchbook, a 9x12 100-sheet sketchbook that I think I'm going to do some message tee drawings in. So fun stuff to throw on for about $10 a piece.
Yeah, I get it. Usually when I pick up art tools and supplies and I'm having it shipped, it's like, oh, let me just add some extra stuff. I do that too when I buy comic book supplies.
Yeah.
I tend to buy my supplies from Bags Unlimited, and once you buy over a certain amount, the shipping's free. So I like to sometimes go into their into their clearance stuff to see what they
Yeah.
have. Sometimes that's how I end up getting the penny loaders and stuff like that for cards, just because you try it out. Or since I do have a lot of sketch cards and stuff like that, I try their different cases to carry stuff.
I bought these tiny little watercolor pads that
Oh,
are,
nice.
they're like a 1/4 inch taller than sketch cards. So they're basically sketch card size. Just cut off the top 1/4 inch if you want them exactly sketch. But I bought some cold press and some hot press. It's like Stonehenge Aqua hot press. It's like 10 sheets there was like $2 for these. It's a good thick watercolor paper. Whoops, one just flew right out. But I bought these just to add on to try them out. Let's see, Sleepy saying, by the way, Oddfellow Thoughts posted a new video today. Wow, must be the first time in 4 to 5 years. Yeah, he's an old-time YouTuber. Have not seen him post a video. He used to host a show every week. I think Sleepy Reader was on it sometimes, where they talk about comics. But like I said, he hasn't been around. And I don't remember what his job was or he ever said, but I think around 4 or 5 years ago, he got a promotion that wasn't good to him.
Oh,
I saw that in my feed, Damien. Thought I was seeing things. Haven't watched it yet. Yeah, there we go. Watercolor pens for ants. Watercolor pads for ants. There we go. Watercolor pads for ants.
And
This has got to be at least 2 times this size. I actually quoted that movie this week, and I was like, wow, does anybody even remember that movie? That used to be, that was the first movie, Zoolander, that became big because of iMovie. Let's see. That Comic Book Roundtable was the show. That was it that Oddfellow Thoughts used to host. I think it was on Saturdays. Evening 62 Lefty Blues. Oh, I painted another pop this week. It went a lot easier than the first one when I didn't know what I was doing. And it's also a bobblehead pop. Here, we'll get it bigger to show you. I forget who it is even. I gave her multicolored hair.
Mm-hmm.
This face with various, mostly purple, various color brush strokes on it. Nice third eye. Gave her some.
Did you add the earrings, or did it come with the earrings?
It came with the earrings were. It came with the earrings. I stained them a little. That's about it. I left the earrings mostly alone. I left that chain alone, and I put the blue stripes on the pink pants, but that was it. And I noticed since it was a bobblehead, it was a lot actually easier to paint because the head and the shoulders weren't squished together. So I didn't take the head off or anything. But I painted it all with paint pens. I think this one came out pretty good. I was happy with this one. I think I painted it last Sunday afternoon since there was no football to watch.
Did you give her her name?
I did not give her a name. Let's see. I think I have I don't even remember who it was. Let's see. She-Hulk, but it's not She-Hulk. It's someone from the She-Hulk show. It's Nikki from the She-Hulk show.
I have no idea.
One of the other lawyers.
Ah, okay. I want to like print out a sticker on it that says like Monster Pop or something like that. Art Monster Pop.
Ooh, I like that. Art Monster?
Art
That's a good
Monster
name.
Pop.
Art Monster,
Yeah.
the new character on Sesame Street.
That's the series I'm doing. Turn them into art monsters. Yeah, here's the first one I'll show you again from last week. This is the one where I just started painting and didn't know what I was doing. I like how it came out, but it took a lot more time than that second one. That looks great, Jared. Glad you like it. I love the hair. All right. Everyone's saying hello. Billy Budd KGB was great. That's cool. So football is the enemy of art. Yeah.
Yes.
I remember her. Her name was Sweetheart Baby. I've already forgotten her name. What did I just say it was? Libby or something?
Oh, I didn't pay
Nikki.
attention.
Was it Nikki?
Nikki.
We've all forgotten in the 2 minutes since I put
Completely
away the
forgot.
box.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Good evening, Missing Mars. But I actually ordered some more pops for $3 a piece today too. I was just like, all right, let's paint some more. Even though I think I have a couple still out in the garage, but when they're like $3, I'm like, yeah, I'll paint them whatever they are. I enjoyed painting that second one a lot. So,
Do you sketch them out beforehand, or do you just
I did
go
not
right
sketch
into
that one. I did not sketch them out beforehand. I kind of go with the flow. We'll see how the process evolves. But also, I did not prime this one at all, since the paint markers are so opaque, and I could then use the colors like I could not. That hot pink is nice. So like this one, I primed the whole thing with white first. because I thought I had to. But then in using the paint markers, I was like, you know what? I don't have to. I don't have to prime the whole thing in white. I can just paint right. The paint is opaque enough to go right over the existing paint. Though I have to hit this with some gloss fixative still. I haven't done that. If I feel like it. I don't even know if they really need gloss fixative. Because the paint isn't lifting up or scratching off at all.
Oh, okay. So then you probably don't need it.
Yeah.
Unless you wanted to give it a shine.
Right. This one's a little shinier because it's got the gloss on it. See if we can even. Yeah, there's a little bit of the shine. Like I said, I'm not sure if I need to or not, but we'll see. And I was gonna put I was thinking maybe a question mark on the middle of her face. Then I went, no, a third eye. That's what she needs. A third eye. Did you make it to the comic shop this week, Wilson?
As a matter of fact, I did. But it's like I got the books, I bought them. They're on the side. I'll show it to you in a minute. But it's like I bought them. I read one on the train, and then I just put the books down. I didn't even have time to like record that. I got books. It's like I recorded some footage of getting to the comic book shop and stuff like that. But it's been so quick of a work week that it
what have you been working on
for me this week. Just my regular Loud House books. Well, actually, paper cut books. So I'm on 2 issues of Loud House, and issues of something called Mystery History Tour, and the next issue of Asterisks. So they all kind of came in at the same time, but I was working on the Loud Houses already. So I was just really just putting those books to bed. But they all kind of like showed up back to back, and I mean, of course, I don't mind the work. It just they all showed up at the same time, on top of my other freelance work that I do for like Apex and Dynamite Entertainment. So it was just everything came in all at the same time, and it was like, okay, I'm loving it. I don't mind work back to back day. I feel like I'm not working unless I got like 3 projects or more going on at the same time. I get nervous when I'm only working on like one thing.
Oh yeah.
So again, and you know what it's like freelancing. So it was basically I did get to go out to the comic book shop. It's like, okay, I have an hour. I could run into the city, pick up books, and run back, and which I did. So I'm learning to try to get that. If I get that done first thing in the morning, then I'm good. But if I do not get out before, I would say noon, I'm not going to the shop.
It's not happening.
So, yeah. So I did pick up some books.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, I got 6 books at the comic shop this week. 4 off the shelf, 4 from the pull list, and 1 I picked off the shelf. That was it.
I got 3 from my pull list.
4 and 2.
And I think two off the shelf, or maybe more off the shelf.
They're even still in their bag.
Completely still in their bag. So 1, 2, 3 off the shelves, and 2 of the same books. So I'm realizing 1 was with the books that I ordered, and 1 I grabbed off the shelf without realizing this was probably last week's book. So I got an extra book. Maybe I'll use that to do like a giveaway at some point. Sorry about that.
So I guess you didn't read it last week when you bought it.
No, I ended up reading it today on the train. So what I think what happened was, or this was one of the books that was there last week and I didn't pick it up because I didn't go to the shop last week.
Okay.
So it might have been just sitting there. So I got an extra comic book. Not that big of a deal.
Yeah, sometimes when I go to my shop, I'm so busy talking that I don't even know what comics I got until I'm home making my video. I'm like, oh, this came out. I got this. It's like
Yeah,
I
exactly.
glanced through them and then spent the next half hour talking.
All right.
My
So I'm
LCS
just
owner
trying.
is creating a comic about Jack Kirby,
Oh, cool.
Okay.
What sort
but
of comic about Jack Kirby?
it's an alternate reality but it's not Jack Kirby, it's Jack King,
Jack King.
creator of
Okay.
comics. But he sort of behaves from the preview pages I've seen. He sort of behaves like his Grant Morrison.
Ah.
So you merge Grant Morrison into Jack Kirby.
I just had to explain to one of my students this week that Stan Lee wasn't an artist and didn't create all that stuff.
Yep.
He's like, what? I'm like, yeah, he never drew anything. He's good at. She's like, well, how come everybody thinks he does? I'm like, he was really good at taking credit. This is great skill.
We need to explain to people what Stan Lee was doing in 1957 so that they understand exactly why he couldn't have created anything.
Millie the Model.
He didn't even create Millie the Model. He only started writing the teen humor books around 1953 or 54. Because there was a period after the 1951 implosion where there are no Stan Lee credits in the comics at all. Only the editor credit in the statement of ownership. So he wasn't writing anything. That doesn't really matter because he had Goodman had 5 or 6 staff writers.
Right. One of the comics I got this week, and it's funny, I've told you the story before about sometimes, I get the email on final order cutoff and order whatever comics that aren't already on my pull list that catch my eye. And then sometimes, 5 weeks later when they come out, I'm like, why did this one catch my eye? This is one of those, and it's a 6x9 comic. Sunflowers by Keezy Young. Nice, here, let me show it to you. I wasn't sure who she was. I must have liked this cover. It's pretty good. But on the back it says, an autobiographical comic about living with bipolar disorder. So I read that at the shop and went, oh boy, this one's going to be a fun one. But it was really well done. It's got this sort of mustard colored paper. And I really liked it. I think she did the job she set out to do, tell us what it's like living with bipolar disorder. And a lot of it is up my alley in that the pictures aren't necessarily literal with the words that are going on. She's trying to capture a mood and a feeling, which I think she did really well. I have to say and then comes back to the literal at times. I have to say I really, liked reading this. Like I said, it wasn't there she is. It wasn't sort of light entertainment, but it gave you really good glimpse inside her mind and living with bipolar disorder. And I gotta say, 22 pages plus cover. It was a $8 comic, but I'm willing to pay extra for a little art comics, because I was also looking, there's a couple of other comics that caught my eye. One was like a Zenoscope comic. One was, I forget what else, but one was like the Zenoscope comic was an $8 comic, and the other one was a $5 comic. And I was just like, I don't really want to spend $8 on this comic. I don't really want to spend, but like $8 for a nice little art comic that's really well put together and excellently done, I gotta say, I'm okay with. But nice stuff. Let's see. That's a nice looking comic all around. It is very, and it's by silversprockets.net is the publisher. I don't know who that. Yeah, published by Silver Sprocket, San Francisco, California. I have no idea. There's
So
quite a
it's
staff
self-published.
here.
It
There's a
is?
publisher, a manager, a managing editor, a production designer, publicity, shop goblin, shop rat, big head bandit, shop cat, head of HR in quotes, and shop cryptid. So there's at least 3 or 4 people working for this Silver Sprockets, whoever they might be. But I gotta say, this one was definitely worth it. Greetings, SBPT. It's great to be back at your planet, Comiclings. There we go. I enjoyed this one. I have to say, I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. Reading an autobiographical comic about living with bipolar disorder. In the back it says, most people think, on the front it says, most people think mania is fun. It was quite
Nobody
well
actually
done.
thinks that.
What was that?
Nobody actually thinks that.
Hey, don't argue with the cover blurb, okay?
Yeah, no, yes, I will.
The cover blurb tells the truth. It's the only place on the comic that tells the truth. World's greatest comic
One
magazine.
of my rules in life is don't argue with memes. Just don't.
Okay, fine. She gave us her diary. Now do another comic that isn't your diary.
She has. I think she's done other stuff.
Good.
They gave a little. Like I said, I haven't read her other stuff.
Okay.
Keezy Young is a queer cartoonist who lives in Seattle, Washington. They write and draw short comics and YA graphic novels, including Taproot, 2017 to 2017 with Oni Press, and Hello Sunshine, 2025 with Little Brown. I'm guessing Hello Sunshine isn't out yet because 2025 is not here.
Okay, so Keezy Young is not in the list in the artist page.
Yeah, I don't think she's a particularly big name, but very enjoyed that comic.
Quite a number of artists they publish.
Silver Sprockets, what a great name for a publisher. Yeah, I like that name. Silver Sprockets is a comic shop, I think. They've done quite a few indie books, says Comic Crack. Okay. Silver Sprockets specializes in LGBTQI comics, I think, says Sleepy Reader. All right. At least that one, I'll vouch for that one. I enjoyed it. Enjoyed it thoroughly. Gave me an idea of what it was like living with bipolar disorder.
Yeah, I used to work for somebody who had bipolar disorder, and I wanted to punch him.
I imagine so.
He didn't say he had bipolar disorder, and if anyone tried to say that he wasn't, that he did, he'd get angry. Thus proving he had bipolar disorder.
Want to show us one of the comics you got this week, Wilson?
Sure. Let's start with Superman, the comic that I like so much I bought it twice.
All right, let's go solo with you. Let's see, Superman.
So Superman, and basically it's a DC comic. One of the few. Well, I picked up a few, but it's one of the few that I read. I'm enjoying it. It's typical villains teaming up to go after Superman, and the surprise in this one is that one of the main characters had made kryptonite basically more into a weapon. We were even though I haven't read the previous issues, we have a Lex Luthor's daughter who has somehow been merged with one of the Brainiacs from the future. And she had returned from the future and is living on Lex's island, only to find out that this supervillain team that has come together, basically, they came together to really go after Lex Luthor, and they want to go after him through Superman. And they've been able to pretty much weaponize kryptonite in such a way that, remember back in the day when red kryptonite would be unstable on Superman?
Right.
So in the old days, the Silver Age, if he had red kryptonite come around, you would never know what he would get. Sometimes he would get a giant head, or he would get an ant head, or it would change his powers in some sort of way. They were able to basically make Superman angry because they pretty much wanted Superman to go and be very destructive against Lex Luthor.
So they turned kryptonite into a plot device gun.
Yes, exactly.
It used to be just a plot device.
And it's the strike squad is called the Lex Luthor Revenge Squad.
Oh, as opposed to the Superman Revenge Squad.
Exactly.
That used to be a team, right?
I think so. They might have been. There's been so much history with Superman. If there wasn't a squad named that, I would be surprised if they would.
I think there was I vaguely remember at some time there was a Superman Revenge Squad.
Yeah.
Some random. I think in the 60s or 70s, maybe.
Oh no, there was one in the 90s. I'm sure.
There's one in the 90s even. Wow.
Yeah.
Let's see.
So,
Mars says Paulo wanted to punch, but he didn't.
No, if you punch somebody in my country, you go to jail.
Friar Tuck says, how understanding of Paulo. Comic Press says, Fun Girl is one of my favorites from Silver Sprocket. Okay. And Mind the Comic says, hola, everyone. Paulo is very understanding and not punching his boss.
No, not punching.
That's usually frowned upon everywhere, though. You know.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Was that wrong? We used to do that all the time at my old job.
Yeah.
Little George Costanza for you, folks. If somebody had told me that was wrong.
Or I could have done like Urkel and say, oh, did I do that? I also bought a toy this week for the first time since December 22. I looked. I was like, I usually buy maybe one toy, you know, besides the Funko Pops that I've been painting. I usually buy maybe one toy a year, if that. And even if that, they can pile up, you know. 10 years goes by and you got 10 toys. Like, what do I do with them now? I don't collect toys. But I bought a Chun-Li action figure. Only out of nostalgia, because Chun-Li was always was my favorite character to play in the 90s Street Fighter game. But all of the action figures of her have been terrible over the years. This one's okay. But know what's really weird about it? Her legs. They painted her legs brown. Was it too risque to have her legs flesh colored like they should be? Because she's wearing a thong. But it's like, why are her legs brown? I actually may paint them the same color as her arms.
It is very possible you happen to get a variant.
No, this is how this is what the picture shows in
okay.
In Amazon. They're all brown-legged. I'm like, I think they just want her to be in tights rather than bare-legged. Is the only thing I can think. Mm-hmm. It looks kind of weird because it's like, why are her legs one color and her arms another color? That makes no sense. But I usually have one, you know, figure standing on my desk. And I said, and I think it was December 22, I bought two figures. I bought Grifter and Despair, both for about $10 on Amazon. You know, I get the disc. This one was $25. Now, that's usually why I don't buy action figures.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can get quite expensive. I tend to wait until they're on discounts, clearance. I go to various websites. The newest toy I got today, I didn't buy. Not today, yesterday. My brother happened to pick it up for me. because he was at Forbidden Planet. So this is a rogue from when she was in the 90s comics when they were in the Outback.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Huh.
And I know I wouldn't have picked this up. I mean, yes, I would have eventually have picked it up, but I would have waited because this was exclusive with Hasbro Pulse, so you could only get it from the Hasbro website. But they're currently selling online on the website at a more discounted price. My brother overpaid for it because he got it at Forbidden Planet. Not Forbidden Planet. Oh no, yeah, Forbidden Planet. He got it Forbidden Planet, so he overpaid for it, but he knew I didn't have it, so he ended up picking it up for me. But it's like, again, it's one of those things. Like I like the look of it. They've never made an '80s Rogue or in the right costume for the '80s, so this is pretty close to it. But that's the newest toy acquisition that I got this week.
You get used to seeing that design drawn by Art Adams or Mark Silvestri. And they always drew the X-Men in a very loose, cartoony style. And then you have the toy, and the toy looks more realistic. And all of a sudden, her costume looks a lot tardier.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
62 Lefty Blue says that Chun-Li wears tights in the game and comics. I don't remember that. I think they put her in like a blue tight outfit for a while, but I don't remember. I remember her being bare-legged, but
it
was all pixels, all little pixels that I remembering. So I could I of course could be remembering wrong, but I don't remember it being brown. They painted Tweety Bird yellow because his first appearance he looked nude. That says Missing Mars. Pantyhose are part of her uniform nowadays since Udon Studios started publishing Street Fighter comics. That's what SBPT says. Okay, so I like I said, I remember her from the Street Fighter 2 video game. And in the mid 90s, whenever that came out, and it was all pixels then, so it probably looked a lot different in pixels. If they could make her bare-legged in pixels easy enough, because there weren't enough pixels to be racy. Yeah. I question skin tone legs are too sexy. Yeah. On the flip side, Mars. Skin tone legs are too sexy for modern figures.
It could also be a licensing thing that particular company got to license her with that color because that color was probably used in either the comic book or in the video game. Because sometimes in some video games, if you were to both pick the same character, the character will have slightly different colors. And that's how sometimes the licensing can go, that they're allowed the choice of like 3 colors: the flesh color, the reddish brown pants, or the blue one. And then each company gets to do one. That I've noticed happen as well in licensing.
Yeah, and 62 Lefty Blue says a lot has changed in 30 plus years. Yeah, but I haven't been paying attention, obviously. Like I said, I remember when they put her like after I remember after she was in this like traditional Chinese dress or whatever it is, they put her in like an all blue jumpsuit. Then I think they put her in like she had the blue jumpsuit bottom and then some other dress on top kind of thing. But like I said, the classic Chun-Li that I remember from when I was playing the video games. There's Chris GG Geruso.
Hey guys.
Hey.
Good evening.
What's
Chris.
up?
Good evening. Let's see another comic I got this week. And this ties into our old Marvel friend, Randy Gentile. Not that he had anything to do with this. Marvel bullpen letterer and letterer in general. The record-breaking 350th issue of Spawn.
Yay.
And I've got a lot of issues of Spawn. And this was really good, I have to say. And part of it was because the art is by Carlo Barberi is the usual artist. This month it says the art is by Brett Booth and Carlos Barberi. And the art, Brett Booth did a nice job. There's a couple of pages, let me show you a couple of this. Like, he did some really nice some really nice. The storytelling was excellent. There's a nice half splash. The coloring was good. There's a couple of pages of his pencils in the back.
Mm-hmm.
But I gotta say, and the issue was mostly mostly one big. There we go. Mostly one big fight scene to see who gets the throne of hell between Spawn, the clown guy. I forget his name. Who the clown? The clown guy who's been around since the beginning.
I think he's called Clown.
What was it?
Clown?
Clown.
He's got another name too.
Oh, Violator?
What did you say, Paulo?
Yeah, Violator.
Violator.
Yeah. He turns into Violator.
And Sin with 2 N's. And so it was those three fighting for the. And I say this ties in with Randy because I was talking to Randy. And he said, and his son, I don't know how old his son is now, 10 or 12, who's into comics now. And he bought, what was it? Wolverine Predator. And he said his son was really disappointed in it, and so was Randy. Because all they wanted to see was a fight between Wolverine and Predator. And they didn't get that.
Well, yeah.
That's it's like my son was like, Dad, I just want to see a fight between Wolverine and Predator. And this issue, I'm going to recommend this issue to him because the whole thing was a fight scene. This whole thing was one big climatic fight scene. And I got to say, Brett Booth and Carlo Barberi did a terrific job.
Well, their styles are not too dissimilar. So I guess you can't really tell which pages were done by who.
I think Barberi may have inked him only because we have 3 pages of Brett Booth pencils at the back. Mm-hmm. That leads me to believe that maybe Carlos Barberi ended up inking him, or whichever way, it was seamless. I didn't notice a change in artist. And it seemed to me different enough that I think Brett Booth was penciling it. The storytelling stuff. Carlos Barberi is pretty good. I mean, he's not, I've been enjoying Spawn with him drawing it. You haven't heard me complain about him, but this was a step up from that. So I got to believe that, Brett Booth was penciling a lot of it, whose work I really haven't seen that much in years, but he was always pretty solid, even if nobody ever noticed him. I think he got more notice like in the last few years working with DC. But Brett Booth was one of these guys I always said, I've been working in comics for 30 years and didn't really have fans.
Yeah.
In terms of, no one ever mentioned Brett Booth as one of their favorite artists ever, even though he was always a pretty good artist. But he just never rose to the level where I think, comic book fans really noticed him.
Yeah, Brett Booth, the Al Milgram of Wildstorm Productions.
Yeah. But Greg Capullo only really got noticed when he started doing Batman with the New 52, even though he'd been around for years and been very good.
Not true. He got noticed in Quasar. That's what got him X-Force.
Well, he got noticed by editor, and nobody disliked Greg Capullo. He just wasn't anybody's favorite. When I say got noticed, I never heard anybody talk about Greg Capullo's work until Batman, even when he was doing Spawn. And I always said he did a better McFarlane than McFarlane.
Yeah, but Capullo went to Spawn just as people stopped paying attention to Spawn.
Right. Everybody. No, he was there at the very beginning. He was drawing Spawn issues in the first 10, I think.
No, he was not.
Or inking. It wasn't that early?
No.
But he, it's like editors and other artists knew he was good, but I don't think the fans really paid attention to Greg Capullo until Batman. The New 52 Batman, that's when all the fans really noticed him and started really being Greg Capullo fans. Well, I'm not saying there weren't Greg Capullo fans. Of course there were, but there weren't that many of them.
On X-Force, I definitely noticed because Mark Pacello was doing a terrible job with his Liefeld impersonation, and Capullo was definitely a step up.
Oh yeah, I noticed Capullo on Guardians of the Galaxy. Is that what? No, you're right.
Quasar.
No, Quasar. You're right. Quasar with Mark Grunewald writing. That's where I first noticed him, and I went, "Wow, this guy's pretty good." And his work got him better and better Marvel work, but I just don't think he registered on the fan favorite radar. But hardly anyone does these days.
I don't know. Didn't Capullo make it to the Wizards top 10 list?
He may have because of Spawn.
Well, no, because of X-Force. Because of
X-Force it was?
Yeah.
But I'm saying, I think he was well recognized by people in the industry. I don't think he was as well recognized by fans. He was more of an artist. But I'm not 100% sure, right?
Capullo?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're way off.
You think he was a big name in the 90s?
Yeah.
Okay. I could be way off.
You have to if you were on an X title in 1993, everybody knew who you were.
Okay.
Except you, because you weren't reading superheroes.
Well, what did he do after X-Force? I mean, did he fade away, do you think?
No, he got into Spawn lost a lot of steam around 1999 or so.
Right.
I guess people forgot about him until he came back on.
The New 52 wasn't until 2012.
Right, but he was there's Capullo. I think Capullo was on Batman slightly before, but he spent a lot of years on Spawn. He did his what was that thing he did? That looked like Venom?
Creech. The Creech.
So obviously, Chris is a big Greg Capullo fan because he knows Creech.
It's the only way you could know.
So do you, between 2000 and 2012, what did Capullo do? Spawn?
I think he was on Spawn until he went to Batman. And I think, I think just the industry itself just going the way it went, it was like, there was nothing new about him being on Spawn all that time.
Yeah, okay.
I think.
Because Spawn at one point, Spawn only had a print run of 5,000. So
he may have taken a break in between those two things.
What was that, Wilson?
Say he might have just been comfortable drawing Spawn for that time.
Yeah.
It was a steady paycheck. So,
but I'm just saying that he wasn't a fan. Maybe I'm thinking of him during the 2000s. I don't think he was a fan. He must not. I think we can all say he wasn't a fan. He may have been a fan favorite in the 90s, but he wasn't in the 2000s. But neither were comics. Because I remember all of a sudden everybody knew him on Batman. Let's see, what does SBPT say? When Toys R Us sends me some promotion, 2 for 1, ask my daughter which toy she wants for her, and I get the free one. I know, I'm a lousy dad.
No, you're a smart dad.
Spawn keeps the 90s tone all those years. Yeah, I think they did a nice job with that issue 350. I really enjoyed it. McFarlane just released an action figure of himself for the 30th anniversary of McFarlane Toys. What did he just come out with that everybody? Oh, Captain Carrot. He came out with a Captain Carrot action figure that I see a lot of people were excited about. Brett Booth is good drawing dinosaurs, period. There you go.
I suppose.
He's good at drawing. I noticed Brett Booth with his tank stuff. Okay. Yeah, I first noticed him with Backlash, which I never bought, but always kind of wanted to, but it was always just kind of, never made the list. Capullo started on Spawn 16 in 93. Okay.
16?
I thought it was fairly early.
I thought McFarlane was there until number 34.
Yeah, Capullo. He and Capullo were like switching off on pencils and inks for a while.
Because then there was a couple of spin-offs, and I thought Capullo was doing one of those. Was he doing Cement Twitch?
He did the Angela miniseries.
Mm-hmm.
So he was well known during that era. We would have to say that. I'd have to say. Many actual artists refer Capullo's reference because of his basic training he did for Wizard. Ah, okay. I remember those articles, but
he was better than Silvestri because Silvestri was teaching everyone how to draw image style.
Yeah, Capullo was solid draftsman. He was really good. Drawing stuff. Speaking of being good at drawing stuff, another thing I pulled off my shelf this week was some more Mobius.
Yeah.
Upon a Star. I think this was another one that I got. It came out in '87. 3 years before I was at Marvel. But I probably picked it up kicking around the office because it's dirty too. By dirty, I don't mean the content. I mean the physical book has some dirt on it. I'm like, this must have been just kicking around. Like there's some dirt down on the white.
Oh yeah.
Like this just must have been kicking around the office and nobody wanted it, so I got it. But this is a lot of it. It gives the story of it is the story he did for a car company. Where is it? Jean Garand. Does it tell in the beginning? Or does it tell in the end? Is it Citron?
Citroën.
What was that?
Citroën. You have to pronounce the E separately because it has a umlaut.
Citroën. The car where the guy one of the higher ups at Citroën was a Mobius fan. He started being a Mobius fan in college, and by the time he got to the car company and rose up in it, he could hire Mobius to do a custom comic for the top salespeople. Mm-hmm. And that's what this is originally. Because in it, and I think in here, Mobius said they originally asked him to do an 8-page story, The World of Adina. Yeah. Dark Horse put that one out as Adina. Okay. Correction. Tank Girl was with Titan Comics. Okay. And for a while, it was only available like in that original version, hardcover version for Citroën, because he said occasionally someone would walk up to him with it at a Comic-Con. And he'd be like, "Oh, where'd you get that?" And they'd be like, and they'd hem and haw. The book in your hand is $5 on my comic. $45. Sorry.
Yeah, they probably say, "Yeah, I got it for free at a Citroën dealership."
$5. But it was, and I think there's a Citroën in it too, at one point.
Yeah, that's a 7CV. It was the first production, full-scale production front-wheel drive car.
So he said originally it was supposed to be 8 pages. And then he said, how about I give you 3 or 4 pages? Because he didn't know if he'd be able to do a comic for Citroën. He had no ideas. He didn't know if he'd be able to do it. And then I think he was hanging out with a couple of artist friends of his, and an idea hit him. And he started drawing, and he said he drew and he simplified his style. He tried to strip down and simplify his style for it. And he ended up drawing the whole thing over a few days, and it ended up being like a 40-page graphic novel. So, of course, the guy who hired him was real happy. Mm-hmm. Then he continued the stories and some of the other things. But it was an interesting read, of course. Just about this weird guys out flying their spaceship, and then their spaceship has to crash, and they go to this pyramid. And
Mobius called Jean Graton out of it.
What was that?
You could have called Jean Graton and gotten some ideas of what to do with the car. Graton's assistant, Clovis, was actually the one who drew the cars in the Michel Vaillant stories, because he had photo referenced how to properly draw cars, and there are a few car promotion comics around made by Clovis in French, but they are realistic. They're not a Mobius
the
stuff.
car is completely incidental to this. I mean, it's like at one point they need transportation across this desert land, so they pull a car out of the spaceship. Well, and they use it for a few pages, and then it's gone.
The 7CV is probably not the best car to traverse the desert, but okay. I mean, it's tough, but it's front-wheel drive, so it's going to get stuck somewhere.
Everything was completely flat. This whole planet was flat, so that helped. The collected fantasies of Jean Giraud.
Giraud.
Jean Giraud.
Yep.
So it's like Giro.
Yeah. The A and U is pronounced O, and the D is silent.
Jean Giraud. And he signs these Jean G-I-R. So how would you pronounce G-I-R? What was that?
Gir. It's just a cartoonist signature. It's not supposed to be an identity.
He signed some of them that way. I was just like I signed some of my stuff, Josborne. J. Osborne, so that's what it looks like. Just because I like the way it looks. But this was I'm not sure if I ever actually read this. But of course, I got it so long ago, I could have forgotten. But the story was like totally new to me. But of course, I did get it in like 1990 or 1991. So I could have read it then, and it'd still be completely new to me now. Wow, time just keeps marching forward. Which brings us to
the original 1983 French version as the car front and center on the cover.
That brings me to Will. Are you in the Marvel Comics alumni group, Chris?
I think so.
I know Wilson is because I saw him commenting. We have on Facebook. Yes. There's a Marvel Comics alumni group for people who used to work there, and our friend Ed Laz just discovered on his hard drive a bunch of photos that he hasn't seen. I don't know how long from the early '90s, and some of them are from the day Mobius visited Marvel. So there's pictures of. I should show one. Hold on, where is it?
Yeah, it's amazing to see because that was before my time at Marvel. But what's funny is I know all the players, and they all look about 5 years younger than when I met them.
Use them or
and it was
lose them.
oh wow,
that's how I lost most of my golf
there where Mobius showed up.
Let's see. Let me share my screen. Present arms. Share screen, window. Nope, that's us. Window. Oh, it's got to be in the same. Hold on. I have 4 desktops on my that I use on my Mac. In order to share the screen, the Photoshop has to be in the same desktop with Chrome, and it's not at the moment. Let's see. I got to put that over there. Now let's go back to, because I've got like a graphics screen, a email screen. There we go.
Yeah, there he is.
That is Carl Potts on the left, and hold on, his name's in here. Jean-Marc Lofficier, Lofficier.
L'Officier.
In the middle?
He was Mobius's agent in the United States.
That's Christian Cooper on the left, who is now famous for being the Central Park birder. That's Randy Lofficier on the bottom left, Mobius in the middle, and Marie Javins on the bottom right. So this was the day they were all in visiting at Marvel. I wasn't in that day, so I didn't get to meet him, but I heard all the stories. Like, oh, you missed Mobius.
Yeah, Randy and Jean-Marc used to wrote some comics for both Marvel and for DC. Even with the Marvel characters, you'll find some credits back in the 90s. RJM L'Officier, and it's both of them writing together. I can't remember where they met, but if they met in France or in the United States, because Randy's American.
Okay.
But Jean-Marc went to, I think he's an entertainment lawyer, and he was in California and he became Mobius's agent. He's the one who set up Star Watcher Graphics.
What's funny is I was putting labels on these photos, and Marie in the Facebook thing mentioned who those two were. Who she's like, oh, those two. Because she of course knows their names. They were the one. She was the ones who dealt with his agent, but I didn't know which one was Randy and which one was Jean-Marc. I'm like, So I actually Googled Jean-Marc, and of course there's pictures of him on the internet, and he looks about the same, except 30 years older. I'm like, oh, he's still got that same cherubic face, but grayer and balder and chubbier. It was fun to see those old pictures.
I tried seeing if there were any videos of L'Officier on YouTube, and there are a few of his doing panels in French comic conventions. So the panels are in French only.
Let me see if there's another one of. There we go. Oh, this one I don't think I do not think I've fixed that one yet, but we'll show it to you anyway. Whoop. Settings. I didn't mean to hit settings. I meant to hit present. There he is signing autographs for his for Marv. That's Dalia Aponte. She worked there on the left, and Joe Capansacco. He was one of the bullpenners, book designers. And I don't remember her name. This one right in the middle here. I think it's Pam or something like that. Laz had written on it, but I don't remember her name. I'm gonna have to ask who she was. But there's Mobius signing books.
I like how there's a line.
Yeah, there's a line. Oh, we'll show you another Mobius. Where's Carl Potts and Mobius?
Was Carl the editor of his stuff at Epic?
I think he was one of them. He was an Epic editor.
Yeah, it was him, Marcus McLaurin.
Right, Marie Javins. There we go. I know Marie was, because she was the one who always gave me the Mobius stuff. Here is. Oop, I'm going to hit settings again, not present. Carl Potts wrote about this in the caption underneath the picture. He said, he completely forgot about that. Carl Potts had a Civil War diorama in an American Civil War diorama in his office, and Mobius was interested in it. So he took him in there to check out a Civil War diorama in his office on top of the flat files. Those are flat files that comic book artwork was always kept in. So there's Mobius looking at a Civil War diorama.
I'll have to check some Young Blueberry books from the Young Blueberry cycle. See if Mobius used that to do some scene, because the Blueberry, the character he was a Confederate soldier during the Civil War. and those appear. I think those appear in the young blueberry. No, wait, it was not. No. It was a Union soldier because that's the Lieutenant Blueberry cycle. Yeah.
Here you can get a good. I'll show you a couple of bullpenners. Hold on, let me close this one down. I want the uncropped version. You get a good look at what was around in the bullpen.
But yeah, every time I see those pictures, I always look at the walls.
This is a good picture of the wall. So that's what I want to show you. Let's see here. I think some of these posters were bunches because I recognized them. There we go. And if we look up here, that's Jim Hostin, painter. We can see Shogun Assassin. I think that was bunches. And then these are the ones that were put up by Marvel in Excalibur framed posts. Let's see what's back here. Just random stuff, random drawings. And here is this one I think is also bunches. This Ultraman poster.
Yeah, that's Inframan.
That looks like a two-gun kid or something. There's I used to have this one. I think it's Kevin Nolan, Doctor Strange poster. I don't know who that is in this picture. Well, that's just a picture of what the bullpen looked like and all the stuff we had stuck up on the walls.
Yeah, that wasn't Two Gun Kid. It was Kid Colt.
Kid Colt? Yeah, I wasn't sure if I had him right. I recognize the outfit, but I don't recognize. I wasn't sure if I got it right.
Two Gun Kid had a domino mask.
Ah, okay.
He was the only one of the Marvel cowboys who had a domino mask. There were a couple who used the bandana to cover their faces. Outlaw Kid, for example, but because that's the second Two Gun Kid. The first Two Gun Kid was a regular cowboy, and the second Two Gun Kid was created by Kirby. He had a mask precisely so he could have a superhero motif.
And this is Mobius in front of the cover wall. Those are all the proofs from the covers that were coming out that month. So, they just used to, whenever the proof would come in, they'd hang it out on the wall where everybody could look at it, catch a mistake maybe, or just there to look at. Tit Goblin says, "Ha! I had that Excalibur poster. I still do." Inframan, 1975, sometimes known as Super Inframan. So there's Mobius in front of that wall. Let's see, what else do we have here that might be interesting to people? Oh, here's the one that that's always like to be pointed out, that when they say that women don't work in comics, here's the women that were working in comics in the bullpen in the early 90s. Sue Crespi is the only one who's Sue Crespi right in the middle there, who's Danny Crespi's daughter, is still there. She's, I think, the production manager. I think she's the only one who is still at Marvel. But every time we post photos of women who worked at Marvel, there's always someone who go, "Oh, I thought no women worked at Marvel." Sarcastically, they say it because those are the people who know that women worked at Marvel.
Right.
Yeah, but that's Danny Crespi was a longtime letterer at Marvel and the production manager at one time. That's his daughter. So these are the ones that just popped up from Laz. Up there's, I gotta get Laz to find the name, because a lot of these are they're like 200 DPI. and 3x5 inches. So they're kind of low res scans.
Mm.
And like, and I was fixing some of them up. Laz sent me the originals after we posted them on. Like, here's a picture of John Romita at work, but you know, it's backlit. So there's just no detail in the shadow there. And if I had the negative of it, I could maybe pull some detail out of that shadow. But you know,
Right.
When people don't know what they're doing with a camera, this is what they end up. And what backlit is for people who don't know out there. If you have a bright light behind you, like outside this window, that means when you take a picture on an automatic setting, the camera adjusts for the most light that's coming in, which is this back window, so that your main subject ends up in a shadow. You've got to, an experienced photographer would know that and compensate with either a fill flash or stopping down to compensate. But you know, most people who are just taking snapshots like Lad don't know that. So it's like he's got
or just asking if he could put on the blinders.
Well, yeah, but they don't know. They don't even know to do that.
Yeah.
Pull down the blinds. They don't even know that they're going to get back. So there's like, you know, 3 or 4 pictures like this of whoever happened to, there's one of Bob Harris. There's one of John Romita. I think there's a couple other people that are like, man, I just wish those weren't backlit. We could have had a nice picture of John.
Yeah, my photographers always wanted to get the cars photographed at around 9 a.m. because we'd be done by 11, and after that, after 11, you can't get a shadow because the sun's high up.
and there's something in photography and film called the golden hour. In the morning and in the evening, there's like 1 hour as the sun is rising and sun is setting that people always look good in, and it's real. I mean, the golden hour is real. I use it sometimes when taking my selfies. It's like, you know, I got a big window in front of me here, and if the sun is setting and I stand in front of the window and take my, you know, because I take a selfie a day on Facebook. And if I take my picture during that golden hour, it always looks good. I look 20 years younger, and the bags under my eyes are gone. So it's like golden hour is real. He said golden hour. I must have misheard. Not golden hour. It's getting near the hour. A little mentors for you.
Okay, so you bought Spawn. Did you buy Savage Dragon?
I bought Savage Dragon.
But did you buy both issues that came out?
Both cover? No, I only buy one cover of Savage Dragon.
Okay. So...
And this was a good jumping on point issue, I heard Image say. Mm-hmm. And they tricked us with the cover. Because tell me who that is punching Savage Dragon. Chris?
Some random girl.
I read this like a month ago.
Okay. Who's that? Who do you think that is? Who's that supposed to look like?
It looks like Maxine, but I know that it's not.
Right. It looks like Maxine, his wife, punching Savage Dragon, you know, as if she had superpowers. And that's what you're supposed to think. Mm-hmm. You know, that's the hook for the cover. Ooh, what's going on?
Way to spoil it for everyone.
And this is the jumping on point because they moved to San Francisco. They moved from Canada, which they've been in for the last, I don't know, 3 years at least, 4 years maybe they've been in Canada.
Yeah. Now, with only 3 comics coming up per year, there weren't many stories, but they've been there a long time, yeah.
Right. So now they moved to San Francisco, so that's your jumping on point.
Yeah, but why don't you show the real reason people are talking about the comic?
And there's some nudie drawings in it too.
Yeah, I will make a comment about that after you reveal the important reason people are talking about the comic.
What is the important? I don't know. Is it the nudie drum? Oh, the punch to the head?
No, it's Mickey Mouse.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. Mickey Mouse shows up.
You forgot that Mickey Mouse shows up in the comic.
Mickey Mouse has been showing. Steamboat Willie has been showing up in so many stuff, including G-Man, Chris Gerusso's weekly webcomic, that I've lost track. It's like it's not a surprise, but yeah,
it's like a requirement.
And what's the first thing that Eric Larson does with Mickey Mouse? Turn Mickey Mouse into a sex deviant.
Yes, he did turn. Mickey Mouse offers to have a group sex session with Savage Dragon, his wife, Savage Dragon's wife Maxine, and Minnie, though he doesn't name Minnie by name.
Right. But Minnie shows up in Steamboat Willie.
Ah.
Her first appearance and Pete's first appearance.
I like this tiny little Mickey Mouse panel down the bottom where he's walking away and framed by the picture.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Eric Larson needs to admit that his comic is now a Tijuana Bible.
It says rated M for mature right on the back, he'll tell you, and he has. This ain't no kiddie comic.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with publishing a Tijuana Bible.
There we go.
Yeah.
There's your mature rating right there.
Mature for mature readers. Don't you go being shocked by nudity and sex in Savage Dragon.
I'm not. I'm European.
I know.
Where are my pearls?
The rest of us are. Sleepy Reader is. Is he still here? Please spoil it. I only heard in the end of March. I'm waiting for that issue for a year. I only have it at the end of March. There we go. Who still reads Savage Dragon? Two of them, Chris Gerusso. And Chris Gerusso is on the special, what is that? Proofreader list where he gets to read it early. A digital version, at least. A wonderful Tijuana Bible. Oh, dear Larson, such a perv with... Hey, he's European, okay? They're not pervs. They're just not prudish Americans. He's an honorary European. Oops, YouTube will close the channel in 1, 2. Waited full circle back to golden hour again. That's just what it was about us Americans. If you do anything with sex, you're a perv.
Yeah, of course.
Including having Chun-Li bare-legged.
Yeah, but is this why we want the things to go into the public domain? Now I'm going to make them have sex.
Yes, that's
but
why.
Not just
that's
any
the first
sex.
thing that's we have to get past that till we can get to the other stuff. That's the first thing that's always going to happen. You're going to do all this. You're going to do the stuff you're explicitly forbidden from doing with those characters.
Yeah. Wasn't that done like 40 years ago?
What was that, Chris?
It was already done 40 years ago.
It was, but now everybody can do it.
Yeah. The last time the guy got sued.
People who do it 40 years ago got sued out of existence.
Well, does that make me special then? That I didn't do it?
No, because you're doing stuff for the general audience, so it doesn't make you special. There are some people not doing it, but that's always going to be done. That's always going to be the some of the first things that are going to be done. That's just human nature.
Horror.
Right, horror stuff. You're not allowed to do horror with Mickey Mouse. Oh, how many horror Winnie the Pooh stuff has been done in the last 3-4 years?
Oh,
endless. Winnie the Pooh is now a horror character.
There are official horror comics made by Panini in Italy with Mickey and Goofy, including a straight-up Frankenstein adaptation.
You mean licensed ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are tame. We're talking unlicensed nudity and gore comic
no.
with Winnie the Pooh.
But yeah, first thing. Yeah, it was the first thing we're gonna do. Sex. Okay.
Yep.
It's expected.
Because it's the quickest thing to do. It is the easier art style. Because, like I said, it's going to either be that or it's going to be horror. And those are quicker to do.
Well, so this was like, what was it, 2 pages in that issue?
But yeah.
And after I read that, I thought I was kind of expecting more. So I think this is not over. And then just yesterday, probably Wednesday, he posted the cover for the next issue.
It's really Mickey Mouse, 1 page.
Yeah. So Mickey Mouse is back in the next issue, according to the cover.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Record-breaking 300. But you notice, next issue, we're still at $2.99. This issue was $5, I think, because it's extra big. Let's see. Another thing I got this week is another Matt Kindt Flux House book. Magazine size. There's a lot of magazine size comics these days. If you find this, I'm already dead.
Oh, another logo on the center of the cover.
I hate that. But at least they give us the back cover without the logo, you know. But you're it's usually an Image Comics thing with a logo right in the middle of the art.
I mean, not that it doesn't work in this case, because it does.
It's okay. Maybe because the image isn't that interesting.
Right.
I mean, that's not much of a cover, really. And that giant white tear behind her doesn't work at all being the same color as her. It's just like, what is her hair popping up? So I got to say, it's not a good cover to begin with. So the logo in the middle of it doesn't ruin it. But it's a pretty good package. It's got this off-white matte paper, or actually not off-white, white matte paper for the comic, and it actually has a cover, a glossy cover stock for the cover. I mean, my complaint about Dark Horse comics is usually they're self-covered and feel cheap. I don't even know how long. It's probably about a 32-page package, probably about a 28-page story, with some artwork in the back. And I have to say, I enjoyed it, but it's an $8 book, I think. I might get in one more. Matt Kindt sometime, and it's drawn by Dan McDade, Bill Crabtree on colors. Matt Kindt sometimes has a way of, within one issue, changing everything about the book. Because the story in this one, the title of it makes sense on the last page, is about they found, what do they call it, a wormhole? They found the military finds a portal to another dimension somewhere outside the orbit of the moon. So there's our little drawing of it. Earth Moon anomaly. So it's just past the moon. So we can actually, send a manned mission there, which they already have. And it's a window to another dimension. 5 years ago, a gate to a quantum realm was discovered by the U.S. military. The military has been making regular journeys through the gate to a habitable planet codenamed Terminus. They've established a small foothold in this hostile environment. The hostile environment isn't just hostile, it's on another plane of reality. So it's often described as both hostile and incomprehensible. And, whoever lives there doesn't want us there. So it's constantly under fire. So the first, let's see. the first 5 pages is about introducing that scenario, and they're introducing us to the military team that's going over there, including like the veteran leader who's been over there many times. And for the first time, they're having a reporter go with them. Then as soon as they land there, they're under fire, and because the hostile aliens have broken into their fort, which they've held for the last 4 years, and just wipe out everybody. So then we've got, the next 4 or 5 pages is a losing fight with our military guys who all die. The people they just introduced us to in the first 6 pages all die, except for one guy. And then he and the reporter manage to escape underground to this alien worlds where other stuff is going on. And they're just trying to escape and survive. And they're in some like city or small town where they realize these hostile aliens are actually oppressing the locals too, who all live underground too. And then by the end, everybody's dead except this reporter. And she's just kind of running away saying, I'm going to try to report on this. If you find this, I'm probably already dead. So it's like, it starts as this like sci-fi story and ends as this lone reporter running around this hostile environment. We have no idea what's going to happen. But you know what? I'll pick up one more issue and see what it becomes, because I generally like Matt Kint's stuff. But sometimes I think he just churns out ideas really fast and just keeps going with them. It's like there's no beginning, middle, and end plan. He just churns out these ideas and just keeps writing forward, which it seems like this one is going to do. Let's see. Who was sued? Mike Dad. The Air Pirates guys were sued. We were talking about the 70s stuff. Yeah. The lawsuit with the X-rated Disney poster is famous. Oh,
Brew Magazine?
Is that the Woody one, Wally Wood? I know the Air Pirates one is extremely famous, but I know Wally Wood made a poster too, but I don't know if IDW has cheap paper too with covers. Yeah, I hate that. The only thing I hate about getting Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, yes, that's why I've stayed away from a lot of Dark Horse stuff. Is just the comic itself is so cheap, but the Matt Kint stuff isn't. I think he has some control over how it's printed. Because I like my stuff printed well on good paper. You got another comic to show us, Wilson?
Yes, I do. So I have I've been picking up the Marvel Superheroes Battle World, the 40th anniversary of Secret Wars. So this story continues. Basically, this 4-issue miniseries. This 4-issue miniseries takes place between 2 panels of Secret Wars issue number 12 during a quiet time, and basically Spider-Man went to go get something to eat, and on his way he has this little adventure where he teams up with some heroes that we did not see on Battle World, but they did make these as toys. So this was a way to have some of the action figures kind of in a way explain why they were action figures of these particular characters during that time period. So now,
do you think they left that quiet time in there in the original one just so they could do something like this in the future?
No.
No?
I think it was a happy coincidence that they were able to find a place to put it in.
Okay.
Because there are many things in here. If you were a fan of the Secret Wars toys, you would understand why this shield that the aliens is using as an indicator for like the superheroes, why they're round, and why the villains have a square one, because it basically was the shields that they used in the toy line. This is the only time that they actually shown those shields in the Secret Wars comic book. In the original comic book, they never showed those shields. So that was...
They were only with the toys.
They were only with the toys. They were made... There was a series where Deadpool appeared in some Secret Wars stories. He had his own book that was called Deadpool and the Secret Wars, and they made a joke about the shields. So again, this is just like telling a story that we never heard of, didn't know about, even to show the fact that Venom kind of existed because Spider-Man gets knocked out. And in the original story, in the stories after Secret Wars, Spider-Man would go to sleep, and the symbiote would take over Peter Parker. So this kind of gives you hints of that was kind of there from the beginning.
Okay.
So this is more of a fun book that if you know enough of the Secret Wars lore and if you collected the toys, this is really fan service. I would say that here's the anniversary book. This is what was going on, and here's something fun for it. So for me, I'm enjoying this series altogether. It's written by Tom DeFalco, who was writing Spider-Man in the black costume when I started reading the books.
Right.
And it was drawn by Pat Orloff, who drew Untold Tales of Spider-Man.
Yeah, he's a good artist.
This is an Untold Tale of Spider-Man, pretty much. So I'm enjoying plenty of covers. I'm only getting the one cover that I like, and I'm kind of keeping it that way. They do have covers that look like the toys. It's very tempting to get, but again, that's just so many covers that I
collect the covers digitally. Find digital versions of it and put them on your computer. That way you can look at them anytime you want.
Yes. So again, I'm enjoying it. So I picked it up. I had waited until like 3 issues were together before I started reading it, and then this is the 4th issue. So I'll enjoy reading it tomorrow. I did realize tonight was that I mainly read my comics on Saturdays.
Okay.
I like to sit down and just have them all out and just read them through. And I also like to, on that day on Saturdays, is usually when I go ahead and download my digital version of the comic just to have it. And it's like, oh, I do that on Saturdays. That's when I really enjoy reading the comic books because there's just something about just sitting down with a cup of coffee and just reading them straight through. And have time and do that. So that's what I do. And there's been some nights that I'll read a book before I go to bed just to kind of unwind.
Right. Chris, have you been to the comic shop in the last couple of weeks?
No.
No?
Nope.
Anything coming out you're looking forward to?
Just all the Skybound Energon stuff.
Okay. What are your regulars now? Savage Dragon, of course.
Dragon, Skybound's Energon.
Do you buy all the Sky? Do you buy like Void? What's that one?
Void Rivals.
Void Rivals.
Void Rivals, Transformers, G.I. Joe.
Yep.
Do you buy like the Cobra Commander?
Yep.
What's the other one? Buck? No.
Duke.
Yep. Yeah.
I was looking. What was that?
Yes.
Yes, he does. Those are the ones he gets. I was looking through the latest Transformers. What's his name? Daryl Johnson?
Issue 5?
Daniel Warren Johnson.
Daniel Warren Johnson. He does a nice job on that book, I gotta say.
Yeah.
I was looking through that. I was impressed. I was like, wow. Because I've heard his name before and seen other things he's done. Let's get Wilson big so he can show us some Daniel Warren
So one
Johnson.
of the books, I am getting the Transformers. I haven't dipped into the other books, but I've been enjoying Transformers a lot. And it's making me tempted to get the other books from Skybound.
Yeah.
I like the work they did to it. I like the artwork. I like the roughness of the artwork. That there's a lot going on. There's a lot of action in the art.
I just saw something that it turned out to be from Skybound. I can't remember the name of it. It was something. It came out this week. It was like a 6x9, big, thick, like young adult, I think, graphic novel about animals. It was called The Pound or something like that. I can't remember what, but I looked on the back and it was Skybound. It was somebody's. They said somebody's web comic in print for the first time.
I was like, give me a piece.
And it was only about $15, which seemed like a good price to me. I'm like, maybe one day I'll pick this up if I have some extra bucks in the budget. But I was like, and it was by Skybound. I was like, okay, that's interesting. I didn't know they were putting out YA books too, but it makes sense.
Yeah.
Let's see. SBPT says, did someone read Trinity Special? A one-shot about Wonder Woman's daughter by Tom King. The man knows how to do humor. I did not expect it. I have not heard nor seen that one. So,
hey, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Did you guys hear that one? A Trinity Special with Wonder Woman? Tom King?
No.
I didn't even know he was still doing Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he was doing humor. Did he take his meds?
And Daniel Warren Johnson did Murder Falcon and Extremities and Do a Power Bomb. Yeah, I think he also did. He do that Wonder Woman one? I remember he did a Wonder Woman one too. Like I said, I haven't really. I've seen his stuff, but I don't think I've read any of those. But he's been on my radar for a while now. Do a Power Bomb and Murder Falcon are good by Daniel Warren Johnson. Undead Quinn backs them too. Yeah. I may have picked up one thing by him, but I'm not even sure. I may have just thought about it. He's still writing it. Okay. Yes, Dead Earth. That's the Wonder Woman one. You better have your tissue when you're done reading. My baby is a cry baby.
Yeah, the only thing that I picked up with Wonder Woman in it is the latest issue of Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong.
Ah. Randy said his son is loving that one. He said his son loves all crossover stuff. Where
I love a crossover. I think crossovers are a lot of fun.
One thing is battling another thing. That's what he wants to see, the battles. And so if you love battles, pick up Spawn 350. That's my advice to everyone. You love superhero battles.
Let's find
or whatever Spawn is.
So it looks like King Kong is near. I don't know if he's near Gorilla City, but you have Gorilla God there. Like Godzilla versus one of Aquaman's Leviathans.
Leviathan.
Here's a sneak peek. Looks like they're getting Mecha Godzilla being controlled by Lex Luthor.
Mecha Luthor Godzilla.
Mr. Luthor, Mr. Luthor.
Mr. Luthor.
And I like it's the original Justice League headquarters.
So, that's right.
You know, the Super Friends headquarters. And then you can see in the mirror Godzilla. But it's fun.
Okay, this is Daniel Warren Johnston's Wonder Woman. I said, it is not bad and the art is amazing. The comic is 4 stories set in the future, having Damian and Jan as Trinity's babysitter's mentor. Okay, that's the Trinity, the new one, the Trinity Special. I'll have to check that out.
I've seen good reviews of Tom King's Danger Street, where he gets the characters from all of the characters from first issue special, including the Dingbats of Danger Street, and Lady Cop, and the Blue Starman. And that's why it's called. But the same reviews say this is good. But they also mentioned that they're kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop because it's Tom King and he's going to fumble the ball in the 10-yard line.
Another one I got this week, but that I picked up off the shelf, is The Six Fingers. And I think this is tied in somehow. I noticed that there's here's a preview. I've seen this one out. This is by Ram V. Well, The Six Fingers is by Dan Waters, Sumit Kumar, Lee Lowridge, Aditya Bidikar, and Tom Mueller. And this one is called The One Hand. It's by Ram V, Lawrence Campbell, Lee Lowridge, Aditya Bidikar, and Tom Mueller. It's got the same type of cover design with these boxes on it and the logo in type there. So maybe this is some line that ties together. I'm not sure, since I just picked up this one. But it was a pretty interesting story. Sumit Kumar is the artist. Dan Waters is the writer. I think I've heard of Sumit Kumar before, but I'm not sure. And it was kind of a different sort of introductory issue comic because, I really don't know what's going on in it, but it was a kind of fun comic. It starts with who I assume is our lead character. Maybe having sex, but then writing all this weird writing. Whoops, there it is. On the wall and what we assume is blood. I don't know. But we don't, and there at the end, there's, at the end of the three introductory pages, appears to be a dead body in blood. But we don't know what's going on in these first 3 pages. And then we're introduced to the lead character, who's this grad student, is doing like his doctoral thesis in archaeology, and he's trying to get the other teachers on staff to accept his proposal to go investigate this weird artifact. And you think, oh, it's another weird artifact story. Because, how many stories have there been about archaeologists hunting down weird artifacts and it turns out to be an alien? So I know they're really right. That's what so many stories have been about. And they're like, no, don't hunt down the weird art. I mean, it was well done, but nothing I haven't seen before. Then what's really weird is he misplaces the pages of his, of him explaining everything he's going to do. And he's like, and he panics because he's presenting this, and then we just get this story where he runs into weird, and he's kind of a loser. He's screwing everything up. Then we get a scene where he works in this like factory, which of course isn't run right, and it's got this radioactive goop that goes in there, and he's just like, we can't wait for the robot workers to come down. He's going to put on this safety suit and go in and pull the drain in the radioactive. And you're like, what's this about? Why are we now getting his day job as a radioactive goop guy? Is this going to give him superpowers somehow? No, it gets him in trouble with his boss, who is like, you went into that radioactive goop, you idiot. Wait for the workers who are prepared to do this. Like, I had plans for tonight. I wanted to get out of here early. They're like, you're a big dummy. And so that we had, those pages with, here's the medical pages with them saying, oh my God, you've got way too much poison in you. How many times have you gone into this radioactive goop? He's like, 3 or 4 times. They're just like, And it's like, none of this like fits together in any way, but it's all done well. It's all kind of seamless. Then he goes home and said, he can't find the writing he did. He's all pissed off. There's a whole scene in his apartment. He's all pissed off. He can't find the writing he did. So he throws his stuff around. Then he's like, oh, crap. I got to go to my girlfriend's art show. So the next scene, we have 5 or 6. And this all like fits together, but I don't know what it means. Here. Dan Waters is a meta writer. Yes, that might be it, because then we get a scene where he's at his girlfriend's art show where he's related. This other artist is doing the main stuff. She's curating it, and he figures out halfway through this date with his girlfriend that his girlfriend is breaking up with him. So he's like, you're breaking up with me, aren't you? Why don't you just break up with me? Go ahead, get it over with. And she's like, you are such a control freak. You won't even let me break up with you. Right. So she gets pissed and walks out because she was breaking up with him. But once again, we have no idea what these scenes mean but they're it's all well done. I'm going to get another issue of it at least just to check out. Then at the end, he goes home and he suddenly has a vision of what he was doing the other night, which we assume is these pages here. And he's like, writing. What does that writing mean? Because he's thinking about his own writing. It's like, I must have written it. So then he has this vision where he did this writing on the wall, and he may have murdered somebody to get the blood to do that writing on the wall. We're not sure. So the whole thing is like, I enjoyed it. It was well done, but I'm not really sure what any of it means. And Dan Waters, being a meta writer, would explain a lot of it. He will confuse you at the start, and it will be getting interesting. He did the same with Vertigo. I will be okay. Then maybe I'll check it out some more. Let's see. SB, no Tom King fan. I refuse to get his books. Well, I've been enjoying. As it is here, I'm sensing Tom King is going to do something horrible to Trinity at the end of his Wonder Woman killing joke style.
Of course he is.
Ram V tells it from the detective's POV, and Waters tells it from the killer's POV. I see. That's how the two books tie in. Okay. So this book here is from the detective's POV. That's how it ties in. And the killer here obviously doesn't know he's the killer yet. The books are connected and the covers line up too. So that's what we got going. Yeah, I just picked up this one. So I didn't know about it. Was actually Ram V who scared me away from the other one. Because much as I enjoyed that book he just finished that he did with Charlie Adler, I liked it a lot. I found Ram V overwrote it a bit. So I wasn't that anxious to jump on another Ram V book, but maybe I'll check it out. But yeah, pretty good book. And Randy made me pick this one up too, because when I was Randy now teaches where I teach too. So I visit with him during our breaks in class. So he had his computer open, he was looking at, and he watches my Instagram version of what comics I bought this week, the quick one where I show the comics in a minute. And he was like, ooh, let me see if I can figure out what comics you're getting this week. And this one was one. He's like, oh, this looks like a Jared comic. And I was like, he's like, but I can't stand that logo. You can't read it. We didn't know this wasn't a logo you were supposed to read. So I was like, you know what? So that made me notice this one, and I picked it up off the shelf, and I was like, oh, the art's pretty cool. I'll give this one a read. And I enjoyed it. I'm going to give each of these another issue at least. I'll put issue 2 on my pull list, and if I like issue 2, I'll put it on my pull list for real. Because I can read it issue by issue. Put it on my pull list issue by issue. So what has, I guess Dan Waters has written Lucifer. I don't know anything else he's written then. I don't think I've heard his name before.
I don't recognize the name.
Yeah. But that doesn't mean I won't pick up his work just because I don't recognize his name. Oh, I just saw something with Peter Bagg doing 5 more issues of Hate. I don't know. I haven't read anything beyond. Somebody showed me on Twitter, somebody showed the cover and was like, 5 more issues of Hate? I'm there. But I haven't tracked, there was no link to anything telling us when it's coming out or. Oh, Waters did the picture of everything else. I bought that one. I enjoyed that. I didn't realize that. And the last issue was never. It's true. The last issue, but that book was on my pull. So I might put this on my pull list just for the heck of it because I liked the picture of everything else, even though, You know how Facebook has that memories section where you can click on it and see your posts from years gone by? I like to do that. I like to see what posts I made 10 years ago because I don't know. So
I don't
usually,
remember some of the posts that I put.
Yeah, I don't remember. But just today I looked at it, and the post I made was about the picture of everything else. What was that? That was like a sequel to the Picture of Dorian Gray. That's how it was, like the painter who painted the picture of Dorian Gray was still alive and was like a demon and living in Paris. And that was what that was about. But and it took place in 1900 because that was important to my post because one of the things that he wrote, I was like, ooh, one of the things he wrote in the book, and I had the panel in there, was something like, oh, the things we can make out of bits of canvas and pigment and acrylic. And I was like, I don't think acrylic paint was around in 1900. And I looked it up, and sure enough, wasn't invented then. So what I posted was, I'm loving this comic, but the author obviously doesn't know acrylic paint wasn't around in 1900 because plastics really weren't around. But I really enjoyed the picture of everything else, so I'm probably going to enjoy this. Dan Waters also did Coffin Bound and The Sandman like he did. Okay. Coffin Bound I've heard of. I don't know if I've read it. Undead Quinn, try Wonder Woman for an issue or two online in this Trinity one shot. It's different from anything else he did. Okay. Oh, the Vault never released books due to no payment issues. That's why the last issue never came. Waters also wrote The Seasons Have Teeth, came out last fall. Yeah, I don't know that. That one went by me. But like I said, the picture of everything else I was really enjoying. The artwork was good on it too. I don't remember who drew it though. But it's kind of similar to that. Maybe that's where I know Sumit Kumar's name from. I'll have to check. The picture of everything else. What are you working on tonight, Chris?
Webcomics.
Webcomics? Your webcomic? Or Fred's? Okay.
Fred.
Well, yeah, you're the printed. Well, Fred Haynes, I only know him from his webcomic, but it's not a webcomic that you're working on for him, right? Or no, that Wilson is working.
I was coloring something for Fred.
Right.
Yeah, you're mixing up your freelancers.
I'm mixing up my co-hosts again. You know how that goes.
Yeah, I'm just working on my own. I told Fred I flatly refuse to work on your webcomic for you, sir.
Well, I don't think it was a webcomic. What was it he was working on?
It was a comic book that he's having me do some coloring on it. I do not get to see a script, so I have no idea what it's about.
Okay.
So it's for a client that he has. So Fred is doing the pencils and inks, and I'm doing.
So is it a custom comic then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So I don't know really much else that's going on other than there's some knights in the stories.
Yeah. Acrylic paint equals plastics equals. Yeah, I think so. But I don't think the plastic acrylic was. Oh, I know it wasn't around in 1900 because I looked it up to make sure. There was no such thing as acrylic paint in 1900. You painted in oil paints. If the picture of Dorian Gray was actually painted and the artist was still around in 1900, he or she would be working in oil. But I think it was a he in this one. Opus is having payment problems too. Oof. So you'll be lucky they came out. Oof. I hate to hear about payment problems.
Yeah.
It means undercapitalized. And I was enjoying a lot of those Opus books. The Frazetta-verse. They were doing a nice job with them. But you're right, I haven't seen an Opus comic in a couple of months, I think. They don't pay their printers. The printer doesn't print. Unfortunately. Which is why a lot of them are doing Kickstarters for each individual issue. A lot of publishers are doing these days, so they have money to pay the printer. What are you working on tonight, Wilson?
Tonight I had finished up some pages for paper cuts. So it was like putting a few of their books to bed. So it was a Loud House Spooky Special.
Okay.
Another story called The Magical History Tour. Magical History Tour is a lot of fun because it's a short, small book, and it follows two kids that basically talk about various historical things, and they get put into those situations where they're kind of like not fully in the situation. You know, they're comics, so they're talking to each other, and they do topics. This one's about trench warfare and what was going on during the war, and how things were made and stuff like that, and how, you know, the war evolved, and there was like a certain type of thing for that time period. And so they go through a history of stuff like that. The ones that I did a few issues back was about dinosaurs and the discovery of fossils and those early years of the first people discovering fossils, and how some stuff was kind of made up, other things were they were at war with each other, things like that. That just is fascinating. It's a kid's book that pretty much will tackle a subject and it'll give you information. So it's like a 35-page small press book, and those are a lot of fun. So worked on that, and I just started working on Asterisk birthday special. So so it is pretty much, they're all reprints, of course. And so this was when they were celebrating one of the birthdays. And so the whole book is a tribute book, pretty much, where they're showcasing other characters in the book. So a lot of fun. So this week has been all paper cuts, just getting those all out.
Paper cuts?
Tonight I was just... Yeah, exactly. So just been doing that, and so been finishing off some pages and just emailing everything out.
Let's see. It looks like he pulled many Opus himself. Opus did not pay the right artists and writers. Sleepy Reader says, I think we're in a period of die off of indies. Yeah, I often I see, I buy all indie comics. And as I was just looking at the staff on even something as small as Silver Sprocket, I'm like, some of these, you look at the staff page, and there's like a dozen or 16 people on the staff of some of these. I'm like, where did this money come from that's paying a staff of that much that's putting out indie comics? I find it hard. I think that's why they must get initial funding from investors, and that money, if that money runs out, it's over. And I think they get initial money from investors to make, to see if they can make movies too. I don't think they're that interested in publishing comics. Because, Opus Comics had the Frazetta. First of all, they had to pay for the Frazetta license, right? And their staff looked pretty big. So sometimes I wonder how these indie companies get by. Knowing as I do how much it costs to publish a comic, self-publish.
Yes.
I have a staff. Oof. Mm-hmm. So what comic were you going to show us, Wilson?
The last book that I got this week is Spider-Boy.
Mm-hmm.
So as I mentioned before, this is basically a story about this character who is apparently erased from the timeline, so no one has any memory of him. And he was at one point Spider-Man's sidekick.
Uh-huh.
And
the old erased from the timeline shtick.
Yep. So he's just trying to live a life in the regular Marvel universe, jumping into adventures. This one has both Miles Morales, Spider-Man, and Spider-Man, and it's also the introduction of a new character that's a doppelganger of Spider-Boy. So they're introducing basically Spider-Man had Man Spider, so of course they're now getting
Boy Spider.
Boy Spider, yeah.
Huh.
As I was looking over this and thinking of the stories, to me, it feels like this would work probably better as a DC comic. It kind of has that interest in me that it's like, wow, it's a fun read. It is interesting, but it really feels more like something that DC would have been putting out during the time they were putting out like books like Teen Titan and stuff like that. That's the main villain of the story. She was the one responsible for creating Spider-Boy and creating the Boy Spider. And so she's I forget her name. Let's see. A Secret Lab of Madame Monstrosity. And they're humanoid. Human animals. So again, to me it very feels like a teen book that DC would have put out. Not to say that was a bad thing, but it just feels to me more like a DC book as I'm reading it.
Jango Fett, #1. I have no idea who Jango Fett is.
Jango Fett is Boba Fett's father.
Was he in The Mandalorian?
No, he was in
That's why I don't know who he is.
he was in the prequels.
Oh, okay. I've never seen
Clone Wars.
Yeah,
and Clone Wars. He was basically the clone. He was the template that all the clones were based on.
Ah, that was him? Okay.
Yes.
I knew of him as a concept, but let's see. Tit Coblin wants to know, Wilson, do you have any interest in seeing Madam Web?
Only interest in the sense of, here's a comic book movie. I'm interested in seeing it. I am not interested in seeing it enough to like run out to the theaters. I'll catch it when it comes on, either streaming. It is not for me. It is not a movie for me to run out to go see. It's not a must see for me. And I've heard so much backlash about it and so much studio involvement. I have no faith in Sony to put out a good Marvel movie. They just happen to have the license and they put out what they put out. When you hear that they had like 13 or more writers on it, that's to me that's just all studio.
That's a bad sign. Involved.
Exactly. So they're using characters that I like, but I don't think they're going to use them in any good way.
Is it Rip Read or Slab time? 62 Lefty Blues wants to know. I say, sure. Let's see what I got. Think we should go old timey. Last one we did was new timey. So let's go to July 1949. July 1949, Crime Time.
Ooh.
So we have got Justice Traps the Guilty, #12, War Against Crime, #9, and Famous Crimes, #13. Crime.
Mm-hmm.
A photo cover.
Was Chris going to show us a comic? We'll find out after Read, Rip, and Slab. 52
Short answer is yes.
David, True Police, FBI.
I'm going to slab War Against Crime, read Justice Traps the Guilty, and rip Famous Crimes.
That War Against Crime might have the best cover.
Yes. I think it does. That's why I'm thinking of slabbing that one because it's such a good cover.
Read it.
And
I'm going to read.
Goblin's going to read guilty, slab, rip guilty, read war, slab famous, dolphin the plane.
No, the reason I'm going to read guilty because it has 52 pages.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that's a good reason. So I'm going to slab War Against Crime. I'm going to read. I'm going to read famous crimes. I want to know if those crimes really are famous. And unfortunately, that means I'm going to have to rip up guilty. And that's 52 pages of ripping.
That's a lot of ripping.
You know that when they say that these come from real police files, they actually don't.
Of course not. So that's why I want to know. I want to read it and go, this wasn't a famous crime. I never heard of it.
Think those writers have time to go down to the police and read their files? Nope, the police don't even want them there. I am going to read War Against Crime. And once again, I'm going to rip based on the composition of famous crimes. I think I can rip that on the diagonal and get one cop on the top and one cop on the bottom.
Okay.
I think I can rip right around the diagonal nicely. I'll have to see if I can. I think the last three I've ripped have been because of the composition. I can rip that one right down the middle. Now this one on the diagonal, which means I'm going to slab Justice Traps the Guilty. But if I slab Justice Traps the Guilty, the good thing about that is I could use like color forms or tape to put my own word balloons on the slab, and change them up. Like I can hang it up and have a word balloon on the slab that says, "Oh shit, the cops got me," and change it every other day, whatever I want. So that can be an interactive color forms slab. I think it'll work well with that. That woman going eek.
So let's what do I dolphin?
I'm going to dolphin one of the boxers, the guy that's knocking out the other one, because I think a dolphin with a right hook is a good one. And I'm going to put the flamingos on the air, like almost waiting to board the airplane. Like, can you arrest them so we could get on?
I'm going to dolphin the flight attendant on Justice Traps the Guilty.
Going eek.
And the flamingos are going to go on the police barricade on Famous Crimes number 13.
I'm going to put the flamingos in those chairs in War Against Crime that are right up front there. They're going to have nice chairs.
They're watching the boxing match? Yeah.
Yeah, watching the box. Or they could be watching us as those other guys are. What do you think that guy's being arrested for in guilt? I mean, he just looks like a guy in a hat and glasses and coat. Think he's a white collar criminal or a violent criminal?
I think white collar. I think he's a banker taking the money away. He stole from his own bank.
Okay.
Because he's holding like a briefcase, so there's a briefcase full of money, and he's like he almost got away with it too.
Well, mine the comic says he's a spy. That could be it too. Let's see, what do we got here? Mine the comics is going to read famous, rip guilty, and slab War Against Crime. Dolphin the staircase and guilty. Flamingos about to be shot by the cop in famous. Poor dolphins. Poor flamingos. I'm going to push the guilty comic down the stairs. Spy. Let's see. He got arrested for wearing a hat too small.
Yep.
That brim is too stingy. He's a Tijuana Bibles publisher. He's got a bag full of Tijuana Bibles. Let's see. Where am I going? I'm going to put the flamingo as that cop in the foreground in Famous Crimes on the barricade. So we're going to give the dolphin, we're going to give the dolphin a gun, and he's going to be behind that barricade shooting those guys. What's your plan, Chris? What do you got for us?
I want to read War Against Crime because that looks the coolest to me. As we all know, the more realistic artwork is, the better the art. Right?
And it is an EC comic.
So therefore, I'm going to slab Guilty.
Because it's a photograph. That's as realistic as you get.
It looks very realistic. So that's the best art. So that'll probably be worth the most.
That's not acrylics.
And then I will also tear up Famous Crimes. I don't really care about the composition of it in terms of tearing it up.
No?
I hadn't factored that in before.
You're not tempted to try and tear it right along the diagonal
I mean, now I guess like I'll never think of tearing something up the same way again after you've introduced this new wrinkle. Dolphin would go the cop in Famous Crimes, the one with his head cutting into the logo.
Uh-huh.
His gun is a dolphin now.
A dolphin gun.
Yeah. And what is the Flamingos deal?
They're
again?
Just watching. They're just looking on.
They're just hanging out.
Hanging out.
The Flamingos
you don't
only watch.
anything.
Then I'd put them on that same same staircase or tarmac or whatever that is in Justice Traps of Guilt. Like they're with the guy getting arrested. They're his whole gang.
They're walking up going, I can't believe he got caught.
They're like, what?
What? What's this copper doing? Justice traps the guilty.
That has a Kirby story inside.
Ah.
Oh, does it?
Mm-hmm. And Famous Crimes is published by the so-called King of Comics, Victor Fox.
Ah. And War Against Crime is an EC comic.
It is an EC comic, so you know it's good.
Whose signature? Is that Jack Davis's signature on the cover?
Johnny Craig.
Johnny Craig? Okay. Johnny Craig.
I saw a headline that there's a EC Comics comeback.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
Yeah. There is.
I don't know if they're just doing reprints or just someone is reusing
someone bought the name. Huh. Let's see. Arrest that asshole banker. I will rip Guilty so that the guy loses a hand but gets free to escape. I'll rip the cop's hand off that guy's arm. Dun, dun, dun. The woman gasping in the background is a nice feature. As I was riding the Jersey Transit train out of Penn Station this week, because I ride it to Secaucus Junction and then take my train to Secaucus Junction. So I can get on any train that goes to Secaucus Junction, of which there are many. And I happened to get on the train that was going to Newark Airport. And I happened to notice a couple of there must have been pilots getting on. And then completely separate from then was who I assume was what do they call stewardesses nowadays?
Flight attendants?
Flight attendants?
Or I can't even remember. Never being on plane. But I got to say, she was pretty glamorous looking. I'm like, she's a real throwback because she had, she was tall, had on whatever the outfit was with a lot, with pantyhose and legs showing and high heels and her hair pulled back and makeup done perfectly. And I was like, wow, this is the most glamour I've seen on this train ever. So that was my observation of flying, even though I wasn't flying anywhere this week. What do we got here? that hand grabbing looks fake. It's like a fake magic hand. The cop is falling for the ultimate prank. He is falling. I see the guy holding the briefcase. The briefcase in the hand was a whole distraction. So the guy grabs the hand holding the briefcase, and it comes right off, and he runs onto the plane. Of course, the cop can't get him.
Right, because he can't board the plane without a pass.
Yeah. Huh.
If he gets on the plane, it's like getting on. He can't take it off.
Let's go back to that question. Chris, were you about to show us a comic?
Yes.
Was Chris going to show a comic? What was that comic you were going to show us? There's Dutch. Let's go solo layout with Chris so he can show us.
That's Dutch number 0.
Oh, number 0.
And this
That's
collected
one of the Skybound.
It's not Skybound.
No, that's not Skybound.
It was in that image.
Casey and that guy's. They published that before, right?
So the stuff that's in number 0 was in the image anniversary.
Okay.
Originally published in Image with the exclamation point, numbers 5 through 7. And then here's number 1.
Okay.
And I just became fascinated with how are they doing this? Isn't Dutch from Youngblood? Isn't Youngblood belong to some other guy now and it's not Rob Liefeld anymore?
Is Dutch from Youngblood or is it his own Dutch?
Dutch. It's Dutch from Team Youngblood. It's that guy.
Okay, definitely is.
It definitely is.
In the copyright, who does it say owns Dutch?
Chap Yep.
Okay, I know that. He's an artist, right?
He drew Team Youngblood.
So owns the copyright on Dutch.
I went and found Team Youngblood number 1.
Uh-huh.
I think Rob explained Dutch in one of his podcasts.
Yeah.
Well, in Team Youngblood number 1, Dutch is trademark and copyright Chap Yep.
Okay, so I guess he created it on his own
from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But he's not doing this latest version of Dutch, right?
He's not. He's listed as the creator, but he's not. He's not an artist or a writer involved with this. But the artist is Simon Gain, who I think draws really cool. Last time I saw him he did what?
He did Paris with what's his name? Oh, I can't remember now. I bought something by him recently. I can't remember what. But he also did something that I know is on my wish list.
He did something with Eric Stevenson called They're Not Like Us.
Oh, yes.
Which is probably 7 or 8 years ago now.
I think I bought the first issue of that. But I didn't, and that was one of those, I bought the first issue, couldn't decide if I wanted to put it on my pull list or not, and waiting too long decided for me. The first issue was just okay, if I remember, because sometimes if the first issue is just okay, I'll get a second issue.
So I haven't read it yet, but
Dutch.
We'll try to see what the deal is. But like I said, I read all the material from number 0.
Okay, so you got number 0 and number 1 have come out?
Yeah.
All right. There you go.
And if you're lucky, you might be able to score some Team Youngblood comics from the 90s. They're very rare, very expensive.
If you look around in the dollar box, or else...
Especially if you slab them.
Mile High Comics will sell you some dollar books for $50. And he just
already slabbed.
I just saw, I think it's 36 books for $50 shipped. Chuck Rosansky has just had a big push I've seen on the socials where he's He's like, I just bought a million comics or something, and I want to sell all these ones. So he put together a whole bunch of mystery box stuff where you buy the DC box, the Marvel box, the indie box, the small publisher box, the this box, and I think it's $50 shipped for 36 comics. So if you want some surprise comics, there you go. Getting on a plane in international waters. That's why the cop couldn't get to him. What was that? There was a 10-minute show like 4 or 5 years ago on Comedy Central. I can't remember what it was about, but I think
Eagle Heart?
Was it Eagle Heart? It was a cop. It was like a cop show. Yeah, it was Eagle Heart. Who starred in that one?
Chris Elliott.
Chris Elliott. Yes. There was just like a couple of episodes in it with Sky Crime.
Yeah.
Where like Chris Elliott was like Eagle Heart. He was like a local cop somewhere fighting crime. And at one point there was, because, being up in the air was like being in international waters. You could do anything. So there was like this flying ship where they could do anything and commit sky crime. It was okay. And Chris Elliott was trying to take him down.
Yeah.
I remember sky crime. There's no laws up in the sky.
That show struck me as like they're making fun of Walker, Texas Ranger.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it's a lot more than just that, but
there was quite a few episodes of it. Did you ever see it?
I haven't seen them all, but I've seen it. Like I started watching it. I just never got to finishing it, but yeah, now that I just forget that it exists, and now that you brought it up,
I'm the same way. I started watching it, I never quite finished, and now I've forgotten about it. Because there's like 2 seasons.
I never heard it, but it sounds amazing.
Did you see the Death Punch?
I must have, but I don't remember. Oh, by the way, did you see I haven't watched it yet, but I know it exists. The new Donald Glover, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, that's on Amazon Prime.
I haven't watched it yet.
I haven't watched it yet, but I was like, where is that? The woman who's playing his wife. I was like, where have I seen her before?
Pen 15.
There you go, Pen 15, the show that Chris told me about. I had to look it up. I'm like, oh, that's right. She was in Pen 15.
Oh, so you did watch it?
I did watch Pen
15. I
15.
told you about it, and you watched it?
You told me about it. And I watched it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was weird.
It's
amazing. it's very cringe. So I mean, I just thought it's so funny, but like so many people are just like, I can't. It's too cringy. It's too cringy. But I don't know. I just thought it was so funny.
Too cringy. She couldn't watch it because Pen 15 is a show, and it's supposed to be penis. PEN 15 is spells penis. But it's this woman, I forget her name, who's in the new Mr. and Mrs. Smith with
Maya Erskine.
And I don't know who there's 2 of them who play themselves at 15. Or is it 15 or
they're 12? They're middle school, like 12 and 13.
Yeah, they're middle school. So they're playing their middle school selves, and it's just creepy and cringy.
They're in their early 30s as actors. They're in their early 30s as actors.
Yes.
But all the other kids are actually 12 or 13 years old.
Yeah.
and you forget about you tune it out so quickly, and it's so believable. You just accept them as being middle schoolers.
Yeah. That was Pen 15. So check that one out if you ever get a chance. What was that other one I checked out because Chris recommended? I didn't find it as funny as Chris, but I watched all the episodes.
I'm going to guess maybe it was I Love That For You. Was that it?
It was on Netflix, I think. They were only short. There was one guy, the guy who shouted all the time and made people uncomfortable. What's his name?
That's I think you should leave. Tim Robinson.
Yes, Tim. I think you should leave. That's the one. Sometimes he just made me uncomfortable, which was his point. I mean, that's his brand of comedy.
I think he described it as people doing something embarrassing and then getting very angry.
Yes. The one that sticks in my head was there was some guy in his office wearing light-colored khaki pants.
Yeah.
And he walked out of the bathroom, and as has been sometimes, he had spots of urine on his pants. So what's the actor / comedian's name?
Tim Robinson.
Tim Robinson. So Tim Robinson, to cover for his coworker, says, "No, we get that's the style of pants."
That's the style of pants at calicocutpants.com. Go. You don't believe me? Go to calicocutpants.com right now.
He creates a whole website just to cover for this guy's embarrassment on walking out of the bathroom, and makes all these, and then gets angry. And the guy doesn't even ask for this. He's just like embarrassed walking out of the bathroom.
You got to give. It's all supported by people. You know, the whole website runs on the support from the people that are helped by the website. He doesn't charge anybody, but you have to donate. And
so he's getting angry at this guy who he's helping, who he never asked for his help, won't donate to the website.
It's not even Tim's website. It's another guy.
Oh, it's another guy's website.
Yeah. Okay. And he's got his whole backstory. He just
knew about it. Is that it?
Well, he's got this whole backstory where that guy saved him because. And so that's why he knows about it and likes to promote it.
But Tim Robinson is just getting angrier and angrier with this random coworker who Tim Robinson helped out, and the coworker didn't even ask, wants him to leave him alone, and he just won't. And that's most of the comedy in that show. Tim Robinson is just getting angrier and angrier at somebody and making everybody uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. Did you read any comics this week, Paulo?
Not officially.
Not officially?
Not officially.
Unofficially, then?
Yeah, unofficially.
He read, but they weren't comics.
I gotta take some things out of storage that I bought a few months ago. Still have to finish the George Best Frankenstein. There's a couple of Portuguese graphic novels that I wanted to read. Lots of historical based stuff going around lately.
Any upcoming shows you're going to, Chris?
I'll be going a week from tomorrow, March 2nd. I'll be doing the Durham Minicon in Durham, North Carolina.
Ah. So all you North Carolinians can go see Chris. How about you, Wilson? Any you doing any cons anytime soon?
I don't have any setup to go to. At the moment, no. I don't have anything on my schedule. I haven't really booked anything for this year yet.
I'll be at Mocha Fest in March. That's the only thing I got going. Let's see.
I know the High School of Art and Design has a fest.
What was that?
The High School of Art and Design will be having a festival this year.
Oh, okay.
They usually do, so I'll go to that one and walk around that one. But I don't know the dates of it yet. I know it hasn't happened yet, But that one's like the more recent con that I know that's coming up that I did plan to like go to and walk around.
Jared, I sent a mime picture to my local printer today and ordered 5 T-shirts, Austin Story bootleg T-shirts. I'll have you know, Tit Goblin is probably the only person I've recommended Austin Stories to over the last 30 years who actually watched it and enjoyed it. Everyone else I recommended to never even bothers to watch it.
I started watching it a couple weeks ago. And it's like another one I got to get back to. I got to start writing down shows.
Yeah, so you remember.
But I remember when that first came out, I saw it on MTV.
Right.
And so when I heard you guys talking about it
when it first came out.
Yeah, when I heard you guys talking about it, I was like, oh yeah, I that is a good show.
We were quoting that one a whole lot in 1997 into 1998. Mind the Comment says international maritime law is actually quite extensive in particular. It is.
Yes.
That's why that guy had to get onto that plane to get to the ocean. SBPT, I followed your advice, Jared, and I got Hickman's Gods. Okay.
Why? Are the characters all standing around moping?
Well, Hickman's stuff that's not Marvel is good. I was reading on the bus, and 2 It girls were commenting on it beside me. It was surreal. One of them said, "So cool, just like the mangas I read online." Wow. They don't even know they're in print.
What's print?
Print is not dead. That's the sticker I have.
Paper. It's this thing that use paper.
See, the last comic I got this week was the latest Usagi reprint. This nice cover on it by who did it again? That funny name, Sweeney Boo. This is a Space Usagi. I already have the black and white original from back in, I don't know, the 80s or early 90s. But this is the colorized version. This is the one. Space Usagi is he only did like 9 or 12 issues of Space Usagi. It's Usagi Yojimbo sci-fi stories in space. So you know, it's pretty much the same thing except with lasers and electric swords. Let's see, we had like a laser sword or something, and spaceships that are giant turtles.
Nice.
But it's Usagi. If you like Usagi, and who doesn't like Usagi? It's fun stuff. I'm sure they'll be putting it out in trade now. Because that's what they've been doing. It's just a Dark Horse. Yeah, that's what they started at IDW, and Dark Horse has been continuing it. They've been, in order to colorize these, they've been printing individual issues, I guess, to pay for the coloring, and then collecting it in trade so they can make some money. Jared's advice should be on Vogue. Yeah. Do they not listen to Vogue advice too, people? except for the few people who watch this show, they listen to my advice sometimes. I'm an influencer on Tit Goblin, definitely, and now I'm an influencer on SBPT.
You've got to start wearing your jacket as part of your influencer persona.
I got a nice jacket on the train ride home on Wednesday. And on Monday, I got a nice coat, man, outside Port Authority. So, not Port Authority, Penn Station. Ooh, I saw online somebody found Usagi #1 for 50 cents. Ooh. What price did I say that Albedo number 2 9.814 something like 50, 40 or 50 grand just a month ago or so? I was like, whoa. Crazy.
Crazy, man. Crazy.
Crazy, man. Crazy.
That's like a far out scene.
Anything else I have to show on my desk? I've got bobbleheads. I've got Chun-Li. Got to set up that printer tomorrow.
See if it actually works.
See if it actually works. It's got to work. How could it not? I can't get 2 lemons in a row. No way.
Well,
do you have any Chun-Li action figures in your collection, Chris?
Nope.
Not a one.
No Street
Most
Fighter?
of them are crappy, so I can understand that.
I was never a Street Fighter guy.
I'm really only a Chun-Li Street Fighter fan because she's the one I used to use all the time. She was my favorite one to fight with. So all the other characters, I'm like, eh.
I played Street Fighter once against one of my college roommates. And he was just like, it was literally the first time I'd ever played it. And at this point, the game had been out for years.
Right.
And so like I have no experience, and he's just like destroying me, and then people are coming in, and he's like, and they're like, oh, what are you guys doing? Oh, yeah, I'm beating him with every single character. He's like methodically going. I'm like, I've never played this before. Like what? Like,
you think that's an accomplishment?
Yeah. So and then he's like, no, shut up. But he wouldn't believe me. He wouldn't believe me because it was just so outlandish that like anybody our age wouldn't be playing these video games all the time. But I just never did.
Hey, I'm my age and I don't play video games.
We in the 90s when Street Fighter first came out, my friends and I played it all the time on like the Nintendo or whatever. But if you ever went to like an arcade to play somebody, all like the real Street Fighter players, all they would do was sit over all the way to the left or the right and do the special moves that were long range. So it's like you've never even got in a fight with those guys because you'd be like going up trying to get into a fight and they just move into a corner and do the special move because long range beats short range every time. And
well, if that's what they're all doing, are they?
I mean, almost every time.
If they're all using the same strategy, then it's still a competition, right? Like.
Well, not if you're not using that. Not if you're just some guy who likes to get into Street Fighter fights and use all the buttons. You don't like the special moves in those fights.
Can you demolish that guy? Can you get in there and get fed up with that guy and just get in and there's some way to demolish him?
No way. There just isn't. I tried many a time.
So what if it's 2 of those guys against each other?
They stand in the corner and do the special moves.
But one of them is beating the other one.
Whoever gets it off best wins the fight. It was crazy. The few times I went to arcades, I'm like, I'm staying out of these arcades in Street Fighter. Because these guys all they cared about was winning. So they figured out the best way to win, and they did it. Then I liked having fun.
Well, so did they, and they only had fun when they were winning.
Yeah, exactly right. That was what was fun to them. Fun to me and my friends, hanging out, playing Street Fighter, trying different moves, yelling at your friends. I was great at PS2 when my kid was growing up, says 62 Lefty Blues. Got a PS4 from my nephew when he got his PS5. Damn, games are super hard now, and I am old. Yeah. Being left-handed is a disadvantage on the remotes. Yeah, I imagine so. Street Fighter Arcade got banned for a while in my arcade because kids were actually getting into fist fights after the game, like actual street fights about Street Fighter.
Fantastic.
I was actually thinking about getting a Nintendo DS just because I haven't had a game system in decades. I guess we should sign off now. 62 letters. Really, that explains a lot about my brief life as a gamer. Let Paulo get to bed.
That's
You
right.
going live on TikTok tonight, Wilson?
I think I will. It's been a while since I've gone online, so I figured I'll jump on for a couple of hours, talk about some toys. But I have no plan. But that makes no difference. I usually never have a plan when I go online anyway. So
You're working for a
yeah,
couple
so I'll
more
probably do
hours,
that.
Chris?
Nope.
You're heading home?
I got all my webcomics colored.
All right.
The rest of the Wally Wackerman arc.
All right. When's your what? You said your webcomic is ending?
Did I tell
How
you
many
that?
more episodes to go?
I got 9 left.
Okay. Are you going to package them into a print version?
No.
Okay. Just checking.
Why would anybody do that?
to try and make a Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's...
We'll see what we can do. We got to get a Kickstarter team together. That's what we got to do.
Yeah.
If Chris wasn't so antisocial, maybe that
I could print a comic that's nothing but comic strips about people telling me to do a Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have
I'm
enough
not telling
material.
you to do a Kickstarter. I'm saying we need a team. Without a team of people, doing a Kickstarter by yourself is too much.
Yeah.
That's what I'm telling you.
Yeah. I like your webcomic. If you put this on a Kickstarter, I will buy them. I have them right here.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on that happy note, we're going to sign off for the evening. We will catch you guys.
Have a great
next
weekend,
time.
everybody.
Bye.
So have
Take care.
a good evening.